species, then the larva is going to go through its instar stages, and then it'll drop down into your soil where it will pupate and emerge out of that soil as an adult. Some thrips species will pupate just right on the leaves. So they'll pupate and then they'll become an adult and then they'll start that cycle over again. So because of this life cycle, we use different predators to approach different stages of that life cycle. I have been really, really liking lacewing larvae for the adults. I think they do a great job and consume a wide variety of thrips species. They're also more cost effective in terms of volume, but pirate bugs work really well also. So pirate bugs are also good for the adults. The Cucumaris mites are going to go for the larval stage of thrips. They actually can sort of move around on the leaf and kind of find where those larvae are. So really great choice. And then your soil predator for thrips species that pupate in the soil is going to be something like Stratiolaelaps or nematodes will kind of get that pupal stage. So they take three different species of beneficials to treat. And because their life cycle can last for so long, we recommend timed releases every 2 weeks for at least 2 to 3 releases. So your entire treatment process is going to take about 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, I know it's really detailed and you guys do a fantastic job laying that schedule out for people, and time is of the essence, right? Like you don't want to let thrips get crazy. It's just insane to think that there's that many stages and that they affect so many different places. Yeah. The thrips that go into the soil versus the ones that stay on foliage, are they throughout the country, or do they tend to hit, they're just in the houseplant industry in general?
Yeah, in general with houseplants, what we see, I would say 90% of the time is going to be something like echinothrips, and those actually pupate on the foliage. And so this is where we start to get into spaces where if we're working together one-on-one, that, if you're, maybe your budget is a little tighter and you're like 3 beneficials, like, I don't know, we can start maybe subtracting some and we can say, okay, well, let's look at what species you're dealing with. We can make more targeted recommendations and we can, make sure that we're building a treatment plan together that works specifically for you.
Okay. Question about if you have a current mealybug outbreak, wanting to order beneficials, but can they use alcohol in the meantime?
You can. I do really stress with mealybugs, though. I know that a lot of the recommendation is to take a Q-tip and spot treat. The mealybugs that you can see are a very small percentage of the mealybugs that are on your plant. There are thousands of juveniles that are like the size of a mite. And so rather than, I'm going to be a broken record here, rather than spot treating with alcohol, you should rinse the whole plant's foliage very well with just water to remove as many of those invisible mealybugs as you possibly can.
Sorry, I can't do 2 things at one time. I'm trying to pin. Okay, I pinned the little USPS thing, if that helps. Let me go backwards. A request to go over the different thrips species one more time.
Mm-hmm. There's a ton of different thrips species. Wow. Many of the thrips species that we see in houseplants are going to be your foliage thrips. So that's going to be things like echinothrips. We see some heliothrips. Western flower thrips is one of the more common thrips species. That's the one that's going to be pupating in the soil. So the echinothrips are jet black. And so when you're seeing that sort of jet black thrip, it has like a white band kind of around where its neck ostensibly would be. That's going to be your echinothrips. The Western flower thrips are lighter in color. So you get different types of thrip species kind of operating kind of within the houseplants. But generally, I would say what I see the most is going to be echinothrips. It's the most common in houseplants.
Now, I know something that looks kind of like thrips sometimes to people that are newer are springtails. Can you talk a little bit about what those are and how they're different?
Yes. So springtails are one of the most commonly misidentified beneficials that I see confused with thrips. And I do see, we get a lot of videos and photos of people who are worried about things that they see in their soil. So if you see a long silvery insect in your soil, it's more than likely going to be a springtail and not a thrip. Springtails eat organic matter, decomposing organic matter. So they're going to be kind of in your soil. You'll see them on the surface of the soil. They will sometimes get up into your foliage. And one of the ways that you can distinguish a springtail from a thrip, and we do have it's a little graphic on our website and on our Instagram. Thrips tend to be very thin and very pointed. Springtails are more rounded, so their butts are kind of more rounded, and their antennas are a little bit more pronounced, and their head is more of a circle than the way that a thrip's head looks. So, if you see it in the soil, I would say they're kind of cute. It's going to be a springtail, and then if it's jet black, mostly is what you're going to see on your foliage. It's going to be more like a thrip.
Yeah. Yeah, and they are really cute. And when they dash around, they give a little bit of a silver flash sometimes. If you have plans for me, you probably have a springtail or two in there. Um,
In here right now.
I have had them for a long time. I even had the globule
Yeah,
ones one
those
time.
are the cutest, I think.
I think I killed
Really
them
freak people out.
So cute. Can you talk again about how to get DMV beneficials, the different ways that you can get them?
Yes. So historically, what DMV Beneficials has done for most of its life cycle is we organize chapters in cities around the country. So if you go to our webpage, click the sort of About Us section, you'll see DMVB chapters, and you can look to see if there's a chapter in your area. These are run by chapter leads who organize group orders. And if you connect with the chapter, you can pick up your bugs locally, either from volunteers or from local plant stores. Shipping is totally free, so you don't have to pay shipping on those orders, and you can get the beneficials in much smaller quantities. So you could order 3 sachets if you wanted, which would be pretty much impossible if you were to order direct from any of the other insectaries. If you don't have a chapter near you, or picking up locally, like you just want the bugs to be shipped to your house, we do have a direct ship web shop. Again, if you go to our website, click order, that will take you to the direct ship web shop, and you can order from there, get the bugs shipped directly to your house. We do have a flat rate $25 shipping fee because the bugs need to be priority overnighted from the insectary where they're raised. But you can, sort of order for direct shipment if that's your preference.
Like, where can you get overnight shipping for $25? I mean, for
Yeah.
real, like I have, before our little chapter started, I did that all the time. It's just,
Priority overnight too. So it's not just like it'll be there tomorrow. Like it will be there tomorrow before noon. So it's
especially if you're if you're in a panic, if you get something ordered in a time, it shows up really, really soon. It's so nice. Yeah. So can you talk about how long it does take? I know shipping is preferred to be done in the middle of the week. So what day do you need to order typically to have it in?
Yes. So right now is our busy season. So the sooner you can get your order in, the better. We do schedule for same week shipping up until end of the day on Tuesday. So right now we're still taking orders to ship this week, Wednesday for delivery Thursday. But that is subject to product availability from our insectary. And so because all this is live product, we can run out. So right now, if you're, sort of looking for lacewing larvae, all of our lacewing larvae is sold out. So the sooner you get your order in, the better. And if you want to guarantee product availability, order Friday of the week before you want your beneficials, and then we will absolutely have everything prepared for you. But we do tend to, especially during the off season, we can fulfill same week orders up through the end of the day on Tuesday. So the sooner you get your order in, the better. But we do same week shipping if you get your order in before the end of the day on Tuesday, subject to product availability. And you can always get the sachets. The mites are very easy to get. It's just those bigger beneficials like the lacewing larva and the cryptolamus larva, which are, sort of subject to availability.
And sometimes, I've just noticed that sometimes stuff just does go out of stock for just a little while. It's not a big deal, and you get it back. And often you guys have maybe a different size that you can recommend to somebody too. There's a lot of different options.
We'll substitute things in. So it's like with the lacewing larva, it's mostly that bottle product. So it's like if we don't have the bottle, we have the egg card, or we have the lacewing hexel. There's just different options, even if a product is temporarily out of stock.
Christine is asking about neem oil being harmful. I don't like neem oil because I don't like the residue that it leaves. A lot of people will mix it with soap. It's too harmful to a plant.
In general, there's always a risk that a spray product can both harm your foliage and also harm the plant. I think that there's not enough conversation taking place about the fact that pesticides do harm your plant. They harm the soil microbiome, they harm the foliage microbiome, they can stress it out, they can, sort of limit its growth potential. So in general, being really wise about the decisions that we make when it comes to which products we're incorporating makes a lot of sense. And many neem products do have other ingredients mixed in, which can increase the risk of harm to your plants.
Sorry, I'm going to sneeze here in a second. Can you talk one more? Excuse me. Sorry, I told you guys I have a cold. Can you address the root mealy thing one more time? I know we talked about that the very best thing actually that you think you can do is?
Yes, it's going to be a hot water soak for the plant. If you don't want to unpot the plant, you can put the whole pot into the hot water, 115 degrees at least, and it has to be all the way through the root ball, not just sort of on the outside, for 15 to 20 minutes. This is going to be the most effective intervention. This is more effective than any pesticide treatment that is available currently or tested and researched currently. It's going to be that hot water soak. What I like to do is unpot the plant itself, and I like to rinse the roots off first, then soak 115 degrees, the water. So, then put the plant in there. You'll see all of the root mealybugs, the juveniles and their debris and everything. You'll see them float to the surface of the water. It's very satisfying. Then I rinse it again and then I soak it again. I'm pretty, as you can imagine, maybe a little bit OCD about treating for pests. I do really like to sort of rinse and remove them. Then I throw away the old substrate. I sterilize the pot itself. I run it through my dishwasher to make sure it gets really hot. And then I can put the plant back in there. Once you've done that, then you can follow up with different beneficials to kind of clean up and do some prevention and control. I like to use road beetles, and nematodes SC are also a decent intervention. But again, these need to be kind of done in combination with that hot water soak, not instead of. I have had some clients, I would say between 5 to 10, who have said, I'm not doing that. I just want to use the beneficials. And they have seen success. So take that as an anecdote. I don't professionally recommend that because I have not seen any sort of studies that have shown that it's curative that way. But, as this person is saying, if you have 600 plus plants, and you want to go ahead and try without doing those sort of cultural controls, I have had some clients tell me that just the beneficials worked great for them. So take that as you will.
Yeah, and there is hope. There is hope with root mealies. You've just got to stay on it.
Yeah. And I know that you guys in the Hoya community especially sort of really struggle with those. I want to knock on wood because I generally have had to ask you guys in the Hoya community to send me root mealybug plants because I don't tend to see too many of them on the anthuriums and allocation that I grow.
I would say probably well, okay, I'm buying from very specific people nowadays, but it seems like maybe every third shipment of plants that I would get in that I purchased from somebody would have root mealies. So it just became very much standard of how to treat everything. It's a pain, but you can win. You can win.
Yeah, you can. You absolutely can. And really, again, I'm a broken record, but rinsing and removing them is going to be really key.
So how do you know if you have root mealies? For one thing, everything that I have, so I do semi-hydro, but I make sure that everything I own is in a clear pot because I'm so anal about any type of root mealy or any pest. When I sell you guys Hoya, everything I sell comes in a little clear pot because I want to know that you're safe. I want you to know that you're safe.
Yeah.
And then, Jamie, do you want to tell them what they look like?
Yep. I mean, so it is important to be able to recognize fairly early on what they look like. People do get them confused with perlite or with there's like a sort of fungus that can grow in your soil, but they are kind of, I mean, they're white, they're round, and they're going to be clustered around your roots. I would say the debris that they leave around the root looks like powdered sugar. It's like really kind of fine. And then the root mealybugs themselves look like little grains of rice. I mean, they're very oval in shape. And they kind of have, if you can see through the debris that surrounds them, they're kind of like yellowy in their body. They're pretty distinctive. And once you see them, and this is where, managing pests actually helps you grow as a grower, because once you see them, you're going to know them. It's like with thrips. Once you see a thrip, you're going to know what a thrips looks like. And once you see root mealies, you're like, that's definitely what that is. And you'll usually see them if you're growing in clear pots. You're going to see them in the pot around the roots themselves. So location is also key. You're probably not going to see them just randomly in the soil itself. You'll see them clustered around the roots because that's where they're feeding and reproducing and building like a little root mealybug city.
And I got them early in my collecting, just out of greenhouses, like calatheas. I collected calatheas first, and I guarantee you that every plant that I had was full of them, and I didn't know. I thought it was beneficial fungus, and I thought I was killing it. Yeah, you got it.
Right.
I also reused soil early. Can
Yeah.
you talk about why you should not do that? I guess I kind of just told everybody why, but
I mean, you can spread root mealybugs that way. That's a really easy way to do it. Another way that they spread fairly commonly is if you collect all of your plants together and water them in the same basin, because the watering will rinse the root mealybugs out into that basin, and then they'll just walk up and crawl up into the drainage holes of other plants. So this goes back to sort of how we started the live, which is these sorts of cultural controls are actually really important to, we're never going to be able to prevent pests entirely, but if we're careful in how we engage with our plants and move them through our space, we can at the very least make sure that they don't spread out of control. And that makes it easier for them, easier for our interventions if we do end up with pests.
I don't have all my plants in a clear pot. Are there any other signs? Yeah, I think that so if I were to go and buy something from a greenhouse, the first thing I do is just very gently lift it up out of the pot, look around without even breaking the soil. If you have enough, they're going to come to that edge. Except for looking for your foliage starting to go downhill, it is difficult to see until they get to that point.
Yeah.
And as
another sign, like
as we were talking about, the young ones will crawl, and especially if you're sharing water trays, it just is another thing that you don't really know until you know, and then you're like, oh, never again.
But like you're saying, I mean, getting used to the way that your plants grow, and if you see a plant's growth slowing, you can just pull the plant up like you're saying and check. So it's like if the plant just looks off, right? Is the foliage not as dull or not as vibrant? Is it not growing the way that it was? Does it just look off? And this is where we start to get into this, what I find to be very sort of sweet space of the plant is communicating with you, and part of being able to grow as a grower is understanding what the plant is saying. And so when a plant stops growing, it's like, well, I should probably check the roots. And then if you pull it up, you might see, okay, well, maybe there's root rot here, or maybe there's root mealybugs here. So just kind of being sensitive to those signs.
Yes, they absolutely can grow in pon, and like in the leca, I can tell if I have a plant that was exposed to them because my catch pot will have a little bit of that fuzz in the water. That fuzz is like the telltale sign. So if you see any of the runoff have any kind of fuzz in it, pretty much know you get an issue. There's really nothing else that I found that leaves any type of residue like a mealy. Every mealy.
You'll see it, like you're saying, in the cash pot. Like it's like, oh God, there it is. Like there's that root mealybug.
So tell me if I'm crazy, but I've also been telling my people that one of the things I like to do is to go around and blow on my plants. And if I see any of that fluff come, I know I could have foliage mealies. Or if there's any exoskeletons, I know I could have aphids. But like blowing on my plants sounds so silly.
No, but it's a fantastic idea. I think that's great. Like blowing on.
It's something I've done for a long time.
No, it's great. And it will also, like, if it is a pest, if you blow on it, it'll move. And if it's it won't. So that's great. That's
using capillary mats for watering, can it help pest spread?
What's a capillary mat?
No, I don't know what that is either.
Potentially, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly what that is. Oh, I imagine so.
Okay. Felt. It's like felt.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because then, like the pest can kind of just be in there. Yes.
It seems kind of like a perfect storm, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
So, let us know if you have any more questions. Keep them coming. Your number 2 beginner beneficial after the cucumbers are what? Californicus?
Californicus are great. But if someone's just starting out, I would say cucumaris, and then I would have them use the Stradiolalaps in their growing medium, would be the number 2.
Okay.
Easy to apply, very versatile, eats a wide variety of pests within your growing medium. So, and that's a pretty decent, like, if we're talking like, okay, this is just sort of where you're going to start in terms of overall prevention, that's generally what I do. That, I do stratiolate all of my growing medium, curcumera sachets, and that's a really thorough.
All right, that no more interruptions from those.
Oh, those are great.
So yeah, so she was saying the straps. I'm not going to try to pronounce the name, but the strats mites.
Yes, we can call them strats.
And I think the benefit to those is that they'll go down into your substrate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and one more time, bugs for foliage mealies. I just call them mealy bug destroyers. Jamie's going to tell you their really cool scientific name.
Yeah, Cryptolaemus. But they're known colloquially as the mealybug destroyer. And make sure that if you're using them indoors, that you're getting the larva, not the beetles. The beetles don't do as well indoors. The larvae work really well, and I like them a lot.
And they're kind of cute, aren't they?
They also kind of look like mealybugs. So something to know as you apply them, if you're still doing your spot cleaning, which you should be, don't kill the predator that you purchased. Only kill the mealybugs. They do kind of look similar.
Yeah, for sure. All right. We are all out of questions.
Are we? Are we all out of questions? Oh, did I miss how you determine how many you need to buy? No, we didn't talk about that. That can be challenging because the amount that you're going to need is going to depend on, are you treating an active pest issue or are you using them for prevention? If you have an active pest issue, how extensive is it? So for example, if you have a smaller spider mite issue versus a larger one, you might want to select a different predator. How big are the plants that you're treating is also going to affect it. How much, area are you treating? So there are a lot of variables that go into that. And again, sort of to be a broken record, that we're here to help you determine that. So I joke that what I do all day is I astral project into your house and then I help you recommend sort of what beneficials you need. But I do ask a ton of questions that I am trying to really be there in your space and to understand both how many plants you have, but also who you are and what your growing style is, and how your personal treatment process is going to go, because all of these variables are going to affect something that seems even as simple as how many beneficials are you going to need. So we are here to sort of work with you to help you determine that. And the goal is not that we are always telling you that, but that as you become more familiar with the product, you're going to be able to make that assessment yourself. And you're going to say, okay, well, I got this many product and this was how I applied it and this was how it worked. And I think maybe next time I need a little less, or I actually don't think that was enough. And so we're here to work with you until you feel perfectly confident making all of these decisions on your own.
A question again about mealies versus mildew mold. For me, the mealies, the root mealies, it looks more like a little bit of cotton. And then again, he looks like a tiny grain of rice. Whereas the mold mildew kind of has like that like nebula, like that star. It kind of extends out in all directions. Those little hairy arms, they look very different. I think sometimes maybe you have to see it in person. Once you've seen a root mealy, you're never going to forget it. But Jamie, maybe you have a more scientific idea.
No, I mean, it's a lot of just these sort of really subjective words of what it looks like to us. There's that really common mold that's like a bunch of little perfect circles. Like, we tend to see photos of that a lot. People do see that in their soil. But root mealybugs, like I said, it's really, I would describe it like powdered sugar, and its placement too is going to be all around the roots. It has a texture to it that's extremely distinctive.
The Givey, you have 2 weeks. Just buy a 2-inch starter plant, and then I send you a mystery plant with it. That's all that is. Awesome. All right, guys. Any more questions?
I see someone saying, can I email you in the morning to try to get an order out this week? You absolutely can. You can email me whenever you want. I try very hard to not answer emails while I am in bed, but I sometimes fail. So I am pretty much all day, every day, sort of helping everyone learn how to use the beneficials. It's my great pleasure. I feel very fortunate to be able to help all of you. I can't stress enough how inspiring working with this community has been, and really seeing how excited and just passionate everyone is about sustainable pest management and like really learning about this space. It's great. It's a true pleasure and a joy. So feel free to email at any time. Again, you can reach out through the DMV Beneficials Instagram. You can follow my sort of personal plant Instagram. I'm copper_lattice. You can reach out to me there. But generally, when you're emailing DMV Beneficials for a consult, you're getting me. So you can definitely reach out that way and find me.
As far as chop and reroot for root mealies, just remember that there are the crawlers. So you want to make sure that you've cleaned off your entire plant.
Yeah. I mean, they will move. It's really, root mealy bugs are really challenging because of just how much they get into the environment. So being really aggressive and focused on eliminating them as much as possible from the environment. So even if you chop and reroot, I would still soak that plant itself in the hot water. Like, you can't guarantee that there's not a root mealybug like up here. Like, you just can't guarantee that. So
absolutely. Finding local chapters, I think that's just on our main page, right? We have find a chapter or something just as basic as that.
Yeah, and so I actually want to announce something kind of exciting. I know, Carrie, you probably know this because we've been talking about it in the organization, but we are getting so very close to launching our chapter web shops. This is going to make both finding and connecting with your chapter much, much easier. So currently, if you go to dmvbeneficials.com, click the About tab, and then it'll drop down and it'll show you DMVB chapters, and then you can connect with all of your chapter leads there. But we are about to launch chapter web shops. So you'll be able to sort of order through your chapter through a web shop. It'll be really, really easy. And we're going to kind of build out the chapter page infrastructure. So you'll be able to really get to know your chapter leads, find different ways to connect with them. We're really excited about that. So that's coming this summer.
And yes, you are still, once you join a chapter, if we have the privilege of having you, you absolutely may still consult with the national level people.
We love that with me for sure.
Yeah, we will be if you don't. So absolutely.
Well, I was gonna say, I want everyone to know that, we all work really closely together, that, the chapter leads, we all have sort of group chats and a chapter lead group where, all of the information that the chapter leads are sharing is, not that it's like approved by the sort of national level, but we're all working together, that it's very much community support. And, we're there at all times, making sure that the information that is being shared from DMV Beneficials is going to be, sort of consistent throughout the organization. But yes, if you join a local group, you can absolutely still work with me, and I would be happy to.
And then as far as following me, you could follow me here on Palm Street. I go live on Mondays and Fridays, and we have purges on Saturday and Sunday. My Instagram has basically pictures of Hoya all day long. It's just flora for fauna. And then you can join my South Florida DMV chapter. Even if you're not in my area, you can still come hang out. It's very new, but we only have one way to go, is up, right? So
yep, exactly.
And and Jamie does too. We have a presence in the larger plant shows as well.
Yeah.
I just got back from Big Plant Expo, and then you just did a plant con. So always welcome to come talk to me at those shows. I'll be at Plant Mania in Jacksonville this month, and then Orlando. So I'm always trying to spread the word.
You should come. I'm going to put in a plug for you to come to Plant Mania in Little Rock in August.
So I have a friend who I think hopefully is still on here that's in Colorado, but that sounds really far away. But yes.
Well, I'm going to be there because I live in Arkansas. For those of you who don't know, I'm not from Arkansas. I'm from Pennsylvania, but I'm living in rural northern Arkansas. So it makes it somewhat easier. So yes, we are going to Chicago. The DMV Beneficials will have a table at Chicago. And based on where I am in Arkansas, I'm 8 hours from Houston. I'm like 9 hours from Chicago. I'm 8 hours from Atlanta. So it's somewhat central for us to really get to a lot of shows. So we will definitely be at PlantCon Chicago.
Awesome. Yeah, 7.5 hour travel is my limit. Charleston, I slept at a bunch of Buc-ee's on the way home from the Charleston show. But yeah,
I was so bummed I couldn't go. I was bummed it was the same weekend as PlantCon Houston.
Yeah, I know. I can't wait though. I'm very new to Florida, and I can't wait to meet everybody and explore. And this is where I've always wanted to be, and it's where I belong. So we're happy. All right, everyone. Any last questions? We appreciate Jamie so much. Maybe we can do this again sometime. Oh, here we have another question. Persimilis I applied a week ago, placed a lot on the leaves and on the top of the soil. How long do I keep it there? You're talking about your substrate, probably. Yeah, how long does it take? So any of these adults that we get that we're going to put into our muffin container or our release boxes, how long should we reasonably leave them sitting out before we can assume that they've distributed themselves?
I like to leave them for at least 7 days. You can shake the substrate and see by 7 days, any bug that hasn't distributed itself is going to be dead. So I do like to sort of shake the substrate and try to encourage them to come out. I personally find with houseplants, the leaf application a little challenging. Again, the goal is to get the beneficials as close to where the pests are as possible. But with the substrate all on the leaves, it's just, I'm kind of a brat. I think it gets kind of messy. So I tend to lean toward applying to the soil, and I think we get decent coverage with them just sort of climbing up onto the leaves. But similarly, with any substrate that's kind of in your soil, by the 7 day mark, you can carefully and gently start kind of removing some of the substrate. Just make sure that you don't knock any of the beneficials kind of off of that leaf. So you want to carefully spot clean without knocking any of the beneficials off.
Does the website help us understand how much to buy? I think it gives a broad suggestion, but probably a consultation is the best.
Yeah. I mean, so we give a general recommendation based on a 6-inch plant with an average pest issue. And this is something, so our creative director, his name is Nick, and he's great at the branding and, sort of conceptualizing some of these complex topics. And we have gone back and forth about what is the best way to graphically represent how many beneficials you need. And it's so challenging because of how many variables they are. So the graphics that we put together are general average estimates for a plant that is in a 6-inch pot. And so from there, you can kind of go higher or lower depending on if you have more or less pests, if the plant is bigger or smaller. But the best way to get a very specific recommendation is going to be to talk to us, to send us pictures of your plant collection, to talk to us about the pests that you're dealing with, and then we can help make very specific recommendations about sort of what specific amount you're going to need. And then you'll begin to learn yourself over time, the more that you use the product and see how they work within your specific space, exactly how many beneficials you're going to need.
Perfect. Excellent.
Questions. I'm surprised that now I'm like, so every live that I do, my cats usually start to bother me about this time because this is their dinner time. And I'm like, are you okay?
They're mesmerized. Yeah. Gosh, we've been talking almost for 2 hours. Excellent.
I could talk about bugs all day. So I'm like, yes.
Absolutely.
I mean, right, I do. So.
All right. Anyone else?
Oh, yes. So someone just said, I'm shocked there's not a chapter in Atlanta. Me too. Someone started a chapter in Atlanta. There are a few cities that I'm surprised we don't have a chapter, and Atlanta is top of my list. So if any of you are listening from Atlanta and want to start a chapter in Atlanta, Georgia, we provide you with all of the training, all of the support that you need, and we can sort of help you get everything set up. It is really a choose your own adventure. So it can be as much or as little work as you wanted to. You can have a small chapter in a space like Atlanta. I would imagine that it would be one of the larger chapters, but it's absolutely a choose your own adventure. And we are here to kind of help, not just me, but the whole DMV Beneficials community to help you get one up and running. So Atlanta is a city that has been on my radar honestly, since the beginning, that I was like, Atlanta, we still don't have one.
You probably could have several there, right? Eventually.
Yeah. And I mean, we do for some of the bigger metro areas, like there are sort of joint chapters that kind of reach different sections. So we really are within the chapter network kind of spider webbing. Our goal is to kind of sort of fill in to make beneficial insects accessible throughout the country. So.
Excellent.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this has been really fun, Carrie. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much.
Being able to come and hang out. It's great.
All right. Great. Excellent. Well, thank you, Jamie. I hope to have you back.
Yes, anytime. Feel free.
Does anyone need any Hoya help? I'm going to hang out for a little bit if you do. Jamie, I don't know how to let you go.
I was like, I don't know how to sign off. Oh,
I
Valerie, is that you?
frankly, we were
Valerie.
lucky that I knew how to get you even on here.
Yeah. Let me
For
see.
you, you just I think go to that upper right hand corner
Let's
and
see.
you just hit that. But she maybe don't want to do it until
Did I do it?
we see her. No.
Nope. It made you really small, but it didn't let me leave. um, hold on. I'm gonna figure this out. Maybe I'll just try to quit Palm Street. Okay, I'm gonna say
Well,
goodbye.
all right,
And then I'm gonna try to figure out how to leave.
Jamie.
All right, thank you guys so much. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you. Okay. That was so cool. Wasn't that so cool? That was great. Does anyone have any questions that aren't bug related they need help with? I've got so many of these stinking seeds. I'm going to at least put one up if anybody, so these are Papa Shonii seeds. If you have been waiting to get them, let me know. I've been sending out notifications to let people know that I have them. It's going to be, yeah, if you buy something else, I'm going to refund you. So these are Papa Shonii Hoya seeds. It has shipping, but if you buy something else in addition to it, I'm going to refund you the shipping for these. These are a self-pollinated Hoya. They're kind of cool. I just had mentioned I was going to run those, so in case anybody was waiting out, I didn't want them to miss it. But if you came for the DMV, I appreciate you guys so much. Please follow me. Please come back and see us on Friday nights and Mondays. Sometimes on Mondays we're at like 2:30. I try to do every other for people that work during the day. Sometimes we do 7 o'clock. But please give me a follow. Usually we sell Hoyas, have a good time. But that was a lot of fun. All right, guys, I have a cold and my voice says this has been a great time and it's been a long time. So I appreciate you guys so much. I'll see you all Friday. Have a great week. Bye-bye.